Candy, where did you leave the raw meat?
Oh yes, the raw meat, the raw meat, the raw meat.
Yes, the raw meat.
Yes, that. I ate it.
You, what?
I ate it?
Why on earth would you do that?
I'm sorry, I was hungry.
You son of a... God, you are such a brute. Me? A brute? Me? I didn't eat the raw meat.
I would argue he might even be the brutiest.
The brutiest? Me? How dare you, you piece of... Definitely the brutiest. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, we have so many wonderful, whimsical, beautiful creatures in this game series, all of which entirely deserve to be loved. Even the lesser known and lesser appreciated monsters are still absolutely amazing. But today I'll be talking about one of the more known categories, one that people generally hold in very high esteem. Today, my party people, it is time for my list of the top 5 Brute Wyverns in all of Monster Hunter, with the caveat being that they have to be categorized as Brute Wyverns. Obviously, that's literally it. So without further ado, let's begin with...
Number 5.
First, I'll just reach in and pull my legs out. Now I'll pull my arms out with my feet.
Radobaan.
Okay, this one struggles a bit to properly convey the actual feeling. Don't get me wrong, this slot is undeniably Radobaan. He is here because I chose him to be here. But the race between him, Anjanath, and Glavenus was incredibly close for me. And at the end of the day, I did end up choosing Radobaan because while I hold them all at a sort of similar place, I really think that Radobaan is underappreciated as a whole, often labeled as just the bony Uragaan, and then ignored, sort of left being behind as a lower tier monster, all that jazz. But if you take a step back for a moment, Radobaan is an absolutely awesome monster. Conceptually, a tar monster that lives in a graveyard just winding up covered in bones that he uses as a weapon. That's pretty damn cool. But that is ignoring the fact that outside of the regular Uragaan type rolling moves and chin slaps, he also has things like a full-on horizontal spin move that is just so unique and so fitting to his personality. Like, sure, he has a fair number of similarities to Uragaan, but there is a reason that he isn't a subspecies of Uragaan or a variant of Uragaan or anything like that. Sure, maybe part of the reason I feel like this is because I actually fought Radobaan before even knowing what an Uragaan was in the first place. But there is a reason that he is his entirely own unique monster. And while I do feel like some people struggle to see that, Radobaan, I have an immense amount of respect and appreciation for who you are.
Number 4. Savage Deviljho.
Oh, Savage Deviljho, what a treat you have been in Iceborne, especially the first time that you see him, for most people being that he invades the seething Basilgeuse story mission, appearing out of nowhere to try and fuck your day up. Oh, what a moment. And honestly, before this expansion, it probably would have been regular Deviljho on this list, as I never really felt like Savage Deviljho was a straight up improvement from regular Joe in the past. However, in Iceborne, there is just too much awesome and unique stuff going on to not consider him an upgraded Deviljho. The main thing that causes this for me, honestly, is the fact that once he is properly engaged in combat, he will remain enraged for the entire fight, until he either dies or you leave the quest.
This is where the fun begins.
Or I guess if you fire enough dragon pods, but tiny interactions aside, this feature was a thing in old games, however it was never as big of a deal as it really is in Iceborne, with Iceborne's enraged mechanics and especially with the Clutch Claw, as this just makes his fight feel significantly different from every other Iceborne fight purely because of this. The new Dragon Breath attacks, every single one of them are badass as hell, and on top of that, every part of this fight looks just gorgeous, from the effects of his attacks to just the effect of the smoke around his face normally. It's fantastic. If this list was based purely on fights, Mr. Angry Pickle would probably be a fair bit higher than he is, but it isn't. And as much as I love his personality, there are just a few brutes that I love more in that category.
Number 3.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Banbaro.
Banbaro, what a fantastic monster, and honestly I can't even begin to deny that a lot of what I love about Banbaro is just his general existence as a whole. It isn't even really about his fight, like don't get me wrong, the ability to fuck with the environment and just rip out trees and rocks and all that is extremely cool, but ignore that and just look at him. Just look at him! He is gorgeous, his fur is brilliant, his horns are an actual full-on work of art as far as I'm concerned, and of course he has a little nose thing that flips up when he gets angry, and it's cute and funny, and of course don't forget about his little boots. And then there is just his peaceful nature, how happy he looks all the time, and the way that he just sort of positively interacts with all of the other creatures in the Hoarfrost Reach, and I guess the other maps that he occasionally inhabits. He isn't some weird warmongering monster out for blood against every creature imaginable. He is a massive, soft, happy herbivore who goes about living through his day making friends with the small monsters, and okay, maybe I've attached a bit more personality to him in my mind than he actually shows in the game, but there is just something about this shape of Brute Wyvern, combined with his disposition, that just makes him seem like a gentle giant, and I am all about those gentle giants, so thank you, Banbaro. As far as the fight, sure, he may be a lower tier creature, but keep in mind that he is an invader, and in the past, the majority of invaders have actually gotten stronger variations after the fact, so who knows, in the next game, we might even see a properly dangerous Banbaro subspecies or variant. I mean, I know personally, it would be something that I would just love to see.
Number 2.
Hello!
Raging Brachydios.
And this one just had to be here. Sure, you may not associate me with being a Brachydios lover, at least compared to Josh, who worships him to no end, but trust me, I think regular Brachydios is one of the better monsters ever made. And I do, especially in Iceborne, even though the scripted nature of it, consider Raging Brachydios' fight to be a straight upgrade to regular Brachy. The extra slime mechanics really just make the fight for me. I mean, a monster with a personal defense system that works simply by activating explosions on the body part he's being attacked, that is just one of the greatest concepts I've ever heard, especially as an upgrade to a monster who, as a base, already has a symbiosis with a lesser version of this slime, though I can't imagine that relationship makes some people a little uncomfortable.
That's funny, so does this. Oh my! What is that?
But his general shape, everything from the nubbly extended wrists up to the really weird mace-like tail, the fact that he is basically an explosive boxing kangaroo, the pure size of this lad, as I do love larger monsters, especially Brute Wyverns. He ticks so many of the boxes individually, and the creature he is as a whole really lives up to that. He is fantastic and totally deserving of the number 2 spot on this list.
Number 1. Duramboros.
And anyone who has been following my list long enough knows that my love of Duramboros is never ending. If I was told I could have any old world creature in Iceborne tomorrow, any single one, it would be him, for selfish reasons. It's not even necessarily that I'd love to see how he would be changed, so much as it is that I would just love to see him. A lot of the things that I said about Banbaro, the tranquil nature, the happiness, all of that, it sort of makes me appreciate Banbaro more because it reminds me of Duramboros, the OG gentle giant Brute Wyvern. Before you can even get to his fight, just watching him exist, I mean, he looks like a cross between a cow and a camel in the shape of a Brute Wyvern, and his disposition is just so peaceful all the time. He looks so calm all the time, and everything about him, from the moss covering to the tail shape, makes me smile every time I see him. And then there's the whole helicopter nature of his fight, the fact that he can use the size and shape of his tail and the momentum that it creates skates to spin and spin and spin, and sure, he does it on the ground, but he can also use it to just straight up take flight before landing on your face. It is purely whimsical. This is one of those perfect monsters for me that carefully walks the line of being absolutely ridiculous, but stays grounded because of how reasonable most of him and most of his attacks and everything are. I mean, even this attack is attempted to be explained by momentum. It's not just, haha, look at what he can do. It's taken seriously. And that is when Monster Hunter is at its best for me, when a legitimately threatening creature can do something hilarious, but still have it explained logically, and actually give the creature a proper advantage in combat. Duramboros, for some people, definitely crosses that line into ridiculous, but for me, he just walks it very precisely, carefully being believable enough to think of as a genuine creature. As far as I'm concerned, Duramboros just is the perfect Brute Wyvern. Alright everyone, I've been Con Dinosaur, and this has been my list of the top 5 Brute Wyverns in Monster Hunter. Do you agree with my list? What monsters would you put here instead, and what would you replace? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or important news about the Kingdom Animalia. Rage, Con, and Hollow are all here, talking about the things you want to hear, so if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.